TV, American History TV, C-SPAN Radio, the video library, and interactive resources such as the C-SPAN bus. Let's hear it for the C-SPAN bus. And renewing the promise and purpose of our American democracy, a government of, by, and for the people. In his first speech, this is the first speech ever televised by C-SPAN, our former colleague, then Representative Al Gore, spoke prescient words about its power. Al Gore said, "The marriage of this medium and our open debate have potential to revitalize representative democracy, offering a solution for the lack of confidence in government. Our country has been strengthened by C-SPAN's progress to deliver on that promise, revitalizing our democracy so that people can have confidence that this institution works for the public interest." On behalf of the House of Representatives, well, I did want to tell you some C-SPAN stories about what children have said about what they've seen when they've watched Congress in session, but I'll save that for another day. On behalf of the House of Representatives, thank you to founder Brian Lamb and the entire C-SPAN family for your enduring contributions to the public debate and to our American democracy. Congratulations on 40 years. Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to yield to the distinguished leader, Mr. McCarthy.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Speaker for yielding. I also want to wish her a very happy birthday. Madam Speaker, I rise to celebrate a milestone in the history of open and accessible government. Now, many of us here and across the country were first introduced as a child to how government works through our Saturday morning cartoons and Schoolhouse Rock, I'm Just a Bill on Capitol Hill. But by giving life to the animation, C-SPAN has taken the education and turned it into experience. And over the last 40 years, C-SPAN has ensured the country experienced some of the most consequential and memorable moments that transpired right here with this body. On the 50th anniversary of the Selma Civil Rights March, John Lewis reminded us of the quiet dignity of the 600 Americans who put their lives on the line that this nation might live up to the promises made in its founding documents. As John Lewis said, our country will never, ever be the same because of what happened on this bridge. C-SPAN was there. At the height of the Iraq War, Sam Johnson, a Vietnam veteran and POW, gave a powerful salute to our soldiers and taught us an important lesson about patriotism and service before self. We are better as a country because of the example of Sam Johnson set. C-SPAN was there. And throughout these 40 years of experiences that have changed the culture of history, from the contract with America to the election of the first woman speaker, it had even captured the lighthearted moments of humor that can make their way into times of very serious debate. C-SPAN captured it all. This is important because of the rise of the internet, and the new media environment has only reinforced the need for C-SPAN's unfiltered coverage and unbiased programming. Now more than ever, people must be able to form their own opinions. They need objective coverage, access to balanced analysis, and the opportunity to debate their views with others in good faith. C-SPAN does just that. Madam Speaker, James Madison believed that representative government did more than cater to individual interest. He said one of its key advantages was that it refined and enlarged the public view about the common good. For the last 40 years, C-SPAN has been an irreplaceable tool for accomplishing Madison's vision. I know I speak for the whole House in congratulating C-SPAN for 4 decades of coverage. I yield back.
Yields back. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is the vote on the motion of the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Grijalva, to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 297, on which the yeas and nays are ordered. The clerk will report the title.
H.R. 297, a bill to extend the federal recognition to the Little Shell Tribe of Chippewa Indians of Montana and for other purposes.
The question question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill? Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote. Do I gavel? No. No. On this vote, the yeas are 403, the nays are 21. 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from California seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, by direction of the Committee on House Administration, I send to the desk a privileged report for filing under the rule.
The clerk will report the title.
Report to accompany House Resolution 245, resolution providing for the expenses of certain committees of the House of Representatives in the 116th Congress.
Referred to the House calendar and ordered printed. For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on Armed Services be discharged from further consideration of S-252 and ask for its immediate consideration in the House.
The clerk will report the title of the bill.
Senate 252, an act to authorize the honorary appointment of Robert J. Dole to the grade of colonel in the regular Army.
Is there an objection to the consideration of the bill? Without objection, the bill is read a third time and passed, and the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from North Carolina seek recognition?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on Judiciary be discharged from further consideration of H.R. 962, the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, and I ask for its immediate consideration in the House.
Under guidelines consistently issued by successive speakers as recorded in Section 956 of the House Rules and Manual, the Chair is constrained not to entertain the request unless it has been cleared by the bipartisan floor and committee leaderships.
Madam Speaker, if this unanimous consent request cannot be entertained, I urge the Speaker in the majority
The gentlewoman is not recognized for debate.
We'll now entertain requests for 1-minute speeches. The gentleman from New Jersey, the gentlewoman from New Jersey, rise. Without objection, the gentlelady is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to call out a growing, insidious threat to women. There are bills in at least 8 state legislatures that would outlaw abortions if a heartbeat can be detected. Typically, this is about 6 weeks of a pregnancy, though it can be earlier. 6 weeks before many women even know that they are pregnant, effectively taking away their right to choose whether or not to begin or expand their family. These laws are cruel. They are also in direct violation of the Supreme Court's decision in Roe v. Wade, a precedent that has stood for over 45 years. And that's the point. Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant recently signed into law one of these bills, and he did so knowing it was unconstitutional. He even admitted he was signing this bill for his own religious reasons, knowing that it was likely to be challenged. He wants to go to the Supreme Court because he wants credit for trying to overturn Roe v. Wade. But the women of this country will not go back. We have fought tooth and nail to obtain our rights in this country. Those who believe women will give up their right to control their own bodies will quickly learn that that's sorely mistaken.
Expired.
I yield back my time.
Gentlelady yields back. For what purpose does the gentleman from Tennessee rise?
Speaker, I seek unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to speak out against the plague known as anti-Semitism. We witnessed it in Charlottesville. We suffered through the killings at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, Mr. Speaker, and we saw it again recently here in Congress. Anti-Semitism is a condition that has afflicted our world for many centuries and ranges from written and spoken words to the mass murder of 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. Each of us must speak out and condemn it in clear and certain terms whenever it appears, Mr. Speaker. In Knoxville, my late father and mother and I, along with our good friend Bernie Bernstein, helped build with our own hands a memorial to the 6 million. Just a few months ago, I traveled to Israel and saw firsthand how the Holocaust affected the Jewish people and how they created a new and dynamic democratic state in the Middle East. As I heard someone say yesterday, Israel is an oasis of democracy in a conflicted region. And support for Israel is not a Jewish issue, it is an American issue, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, the truth is, support for one of our nation's staunchest allies and anti-Semitism, they cannot coexist. As we remember the Holocaust and protect the democracy of Israel, let's join together in condemning anti-Semitism in whatever form it appears, whether in our neighborhoods or here on the House floor. Mr. Speaker, I yield back my time, and thank you, sir.
Gentleman yields back. The chair will receive a message.
Mr. Speaker, a message from the President of the United States.
Mr. Speaker,
Madam Secretary.
I am directed by the President of the United States to deliver to the House of Representatives a message in writing.
For what purpose does the gentleman from New Jersey seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute, revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor an exceptional dentist, Army Brigadier General Shan K. Bagby. General Bagby is the first African-American Army dentist to be promoted to the rank of general. And he is the first ever African-American to serve as chief of the Army Dental Corps. General Bagby was born in Newark, New Jersey. When he was 8 years old, General Bagby went to the neighborhood health clinic and met an African-American dentist. That visit, more than 40 years ago, inspired him to become a dentist himself. When General Bagby graduated from Columbia High School in Maplewood, New Jersey, also in my district, he went to Rutgers University to study physics. Today, General Bagby is a rising star in the U.S. Army. He is an inspiration to young people across the country who dream of becoming a dentist. I ask my colleagues to join me to honor Brigadier General Shan K. Bagby for his service to our country, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. For what purpose does the gentleman from Georgia seek recognition?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today with a heavy heart to commemorate the life of Dr. Lloyd Darby III. Dr. Darby was a Georgia 12 native and lifelong resident of Vidalia, Georgia, and the lasting impact he leaves behind on behalf of the local community, his friends, and his family will be remembered for generations. With a deep love for our nation and a strong passion for serving others, his many years as a U.S. Navy lieutenant, prominent dentist, and instrumental political figure speaks volumes about his character. Dr. Darby was a former chairman of the Toombs County Republican Party, district chairman and member of the state GOP board, and a delegate to the 1972 and 1976 Republican National Conventions. Additionally, he served as chairman of the Friends of Mattingly campaign during Matt Mattingly's tenure as U.S. Senator. He was the first Republican senator from Georgia elected since the Reconstruction era. Lloyd Darby was a man passionate about his faith. He cherished his local community, loved his wife of 60 years, and his entire family beyond measure. His passion, Lloyd's passion, was to help those give back a smile who otherwise could not help themselves. Robin and I send our heartfelt condolences and prayers to all of Dr. Darby's family, friends, and community on a life well lived. And I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. For what purpose does the gentle lady from Iowa seek recognition?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentle lady is recognized.
This past winter, Iowa and the Midwest experienced record snowfall with freezing temperatures. The ground has remained frozen, which kept the snow from falling into our soil, from melting into it. And then the rapid warming over March 12th to March 14th, along with heavy rains, resulted in mass flooding and devastation across Iowa, particularly in my district of Southwest Iowa. The flooding has resulted in hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars and agricultural losses, destroyed homes, schools, small businesses, medical centers, and has caused significant damage to public infrastructure that is vital to these communities. Entire small towns such as Hamburg in Fremont County and Pacific Junction, shown here in Mills County, are underwater and are facing irreparable damages. Communities are without sanitary water. The lasting effects on the health and well-being of Iowa families is beyond calculation, and the flooding is still ongoing. We have yet to see probably some of the worst of it. I'm grateful that the President declared a disaster emergency declaration to support efforts to guarantee public safety and rapid recovery. But given the impact of this flooding, and it was mainly in smaller rural communities, the assistance needed to ensure these communities can recover is dramatic. And I've requested the House Appropriations Committee to fund additional disaster supplemental support. Thank you.
The gentle lady yields back. Further requests for 1-minute speeches? There being none, under the Speaker's announced policy of January 3rd, 2019, the gentleman from California, Mr. Garamendi, is recognized for 60 minutes as the designee of the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've got a couple of things I want to do today, and I'd like to start with a very special celebration that occurs every spring, and this is the Sikh community's annual historic, cultural, and religious celebration of Visakhia. It's a celebration in the Punjab region of South Asia. It's been going on for centuries, and today it's also celebrated in communities throughout India, the United States, and really around the world. Visakhia is an annual festival celebrating the spring season, and it's of great significance to the Sikh religion. It commemorates the creation of Khalsa, a fellowship of devoted Sikhs. It's founded in 1699 by Guru Singh and celebrates the community, prosperity, and continued progress in the year ahead. And so it is springtime, and so we celebrate this very important event in the Sikh community. I also want to talk about another event of the spring, one that you just heard a moment ago from our colleague, Ms. Axney of Iowa, when she talked about the flooding that is occurring. As chairman of the Senate Subcommittee, House Subcommittee of the Armed Services Committee, I've read June and leveled much of Tyndall Air Force Base. Perhaps a photo might be better than my words in describing the destruction at Tyndall Air Force Base. Essentially, this key Air Force Base located on the panhandle of Florida, on the Gulf Coast, was wiped out. We don't yet know how much it's going to cost to rebuild it. We do know that the Air Force is trying to sustain operations there, and I'm told that by May they will be out of money to be able to sustain operations. We know that there's probably $3 to $4 billion of damage at this Air Force base alone. Keep in mind that this base is located literally on a sand spit adjacent to the Gulf. And when hurricanes come through, destruction is sure to occur. Every Marine knows this place, Camp Lejeune. It too was hit by a hurricane, not the winds, but the deluge that came with the hurricane. Flooding wiped out a large portion of the base. As you can see, a tree did something that no Marine would ever want to have happen, and that is take out their barracks. But this base too sustained substantial damage as a result of the hurricane and the flood that was precipitated by the hurricane. This is also a $3 to $4 billion event. The rebuilding of Camp Lejeune and Tyndall raises a serious question for those of us who must decide on the appropriations. Should we even return to these locations, which we know are going to be hit once again, and perhaps multiple times in the future? And if we decide to return and spend the $3 to $4 billion to repair each of the bases, how will it be done? Will it be done in the recognition that there is climate change, that the hurricanes will be stronger? The hurricanes will be stronger, the deluge even more. We must always build for resiliency. Now, this isn't the only place that the military has sustained significant risk this year. I'm from California, and I know wildfires. And Camp Pendleton, on the far side of this continent, another Marine base, faced evacuation